Okay, so this is part 3 for the review of the RG Gao Gai Gar. So in part 3, we're going to look at the overall articulation going on here, the limitations, and especially that critical issue I was talking about. Anyway, so before we start with any articulation here, so here is next to the HUC Nemo, or the 1-to-144 scale HUC Nemo, you can see the Gao Gai Gar. Compared to Gai Gar, it got much bigger and taller. So yeah, scale wise, once again, I'm not going to do the calculations for you because it's not mentioned in the box. There's no reason for me to mention it, because anything that's not Gunpla at this point, or not Gunpla, I don't think Bandai is going to mention any scale onto their real grade kits as well. Alright, so let's see what we got here. So I think at this point you should be aware that the head, oops, sorry about that, that was close. At this point you should be aware that the head is going to be very limited, mostly for the fact that number one, it's connected to the back section. So any movement you want to do, you're going to have to disconnect that aspect as well. And number two is that you're pretty much not want to be touching the head too often because of the face mask. You're gonna probably, whatever you're trying to twist the head, move the head, there's a risk of the face mask popping out. So I'm not even gonna try that as well. You can see, like, I really wanted to give this kid an A+ or A, but now it's going down to like a B-, or even up to a C+. That's how I'm slightly discouraged at this point. Alright, so now the arms. Now the arms, I think it's pretty obvious that the articulation here is going to be very limited. So you can still go 360, but you have to make sure you don't hit any of the fins, and you're gonna have to move your way around because the wings on the back are gonna get in the way. But still, going 360, as you saw, is possible. Going to the side, once again, very nice. Going 90 degrees should be no problem as well. And 360 twist, no big deal. And then you can actually bend this part, but I don't. There we go. I think you can go slightly more, but once again, there we go. You get a very nice bend going on here as well. But although these joints will be showing up as well, I'm not sure if some people might not like this joint, but still, nice double jointed bend, utilizing all the parts for the combination here is nice. Now twisting the body is a no-go, because once again, if you remember, the arms are connected to the backpack, and these are on the back section right over here, and you can see there's these parts going over the main body of Gai Gar. So once again, moving or twisting the body is a no. That's out of the question. Now, despite all this front skirt, back skirt section going on here, you can kind of move the side skirt forward and backward and flop it around if you want to do so. The same goes for the front skirt as well. So even though you move one, you can still reposition the other skirts as well. The side swivel is still existent there, so no big deal. Going forward, let me move this a bit. Okay, going forward should be no problem. Going backward should be also no problem until it hits this jet. So that's that. Bend wise now, despite how the whole leg structure was, you can still get a bend going on here. Just make sure that this part is still connected here, because on my previous attempt, I noticed this part kind of likes to pop out, and if it does, the stabilization can be a little bit wobbly going on here. So when you're moving the legs, you gotta there's a lot of areas that you need to just grab onto general. I'll get into the hands later, and then here are the feet. The feet can fold downwards, mostly the toe bend. Now rotating it's a no-go because the joints are connected to the side. But because of that, you do get a nice pivot joint onto the feet, which the DX toy lacked. I really wish the old DX toys would at least have these joints, or if they were or for some reason they re-released those, I hope they release a improved version with a pivot joint. The only one that I remember actually has something similar is the DX Might Guy toy. However, it wasn't actually a joint. They just actually made the feet in an angled position so that when you spread the legs, it looks like, it's actually doing a proper stance. Alright, so let's talk about the critical issue, the hand. So they use the pre-built real grade hands on this guy, and that is the only set of hands they give you. And the thing is, the fingers pop out a little bit too easily on me. So if it's just one side, so I was building up the process. I told them what to do. I moved the fingers. I opened up the joints. It was okay from there. But once again, I attached it here. I was trying to do some poses, trying to twist or rotate the hand. So I was grabbing it like this, or while doing the fist, and all the fingers started to pop out. Now the problem is that multiple fingers popped out to the point where I have no clue which finger is which now. And for GaoGaiGar, like, the hands are most important. He uses a fist hand for his broken Magnum. The broken Magnum is basically he launches his arm as like a rocket punch. So which is why you actually do need to keep this small piece going on here. That is for the broken Magnum. And this piece is apparently used for the Goldie Mag expansion part as well. So do not throw this away. I don't have that expansion yet, so there's no way I can actually show you guys. So yeah, I can't, like, every time I try to do a fist, something will pop out, and now to the point where I have like 8 fingers lying around, not knowing which one is which, and it's gonna look very freaking awkward. I wish they could have just give you, okay, like other real grade kits I've seen so far, sure, they would add the typical pre-built real grade cell inner frame moving finger hands, but they would also give you the option to use a regular non-moving, non-articulated fist hand. And for GaoGaiGar, they should have just added that hand as well in here. I'm willing to pay even $5 just for that hand. I'm sorry I'm going on a rant, but this is crucial to the kit. If you've seen GaoGaiGar the anime, this guy uses his fist a lot. And to the point where I can't do the fist properly because the finger's popping out is a big flaw. A huge flaw. And this part, yeah, all 4 fingers are now gone. I can't attach, I mean I can reattach them, but I can reattach them here. But once again, if I try to move the fingers or try to do something, they're gonna pop out again. And for at least, luckily for the Hell and Heaven hand, they actually give you a full-fledged hand here. At least that's great. I'm really glad that they did this instead of like, oh, just do the fingers like this on the RG hand, then I would have screamed, okay? So that is a huge issue, but at least they have this as a single piece. I just wish they could have just, because the way how this works is that you can take off this part here. For example, take this part off and you get this, which almost looks like a regular fist. They could have just given you some parts to use this as a fist. So I think this was a extremely missed opportunity, or just a mistake in general, or they were trying to cut costs or something. But yeah, this is the least kit, at least in my opinion, that should not be using real grade articulated hands, if you ask me. So that was my rant. That was the main issue that I was having. That is the most critical part I'm having. So now because of that, I can't use this protect shade. So what you're supposed to do is that you're supposed to put these onto the fingers. You're supposed to do a straight hand pose, do this, or do something like that, and basically you're supposed to slide. And yeah, and this part, the handguard just pops out a little bit too easily, if you ask me. And because of this, while reattaching this process, I actually popped out a few more fingers. So anyway, the basic gist is that you're supposed to, there's a hole here on the protect shade effect parts here. So, and you're supposed to slide the hand in here so that it looks like he's using the effect part. So this was okay, but once again, as long as I have all the fingers here, that's how you're supposed to use it. All right. So that's that. And finally, for this one, I'll show you guys each demonstration more properly. So anyway, here is the dividing driver. Luckily, you don't need the hands for this, because the way how this connects, it just connects to there's these pegs here, small pegs that connects to the inwards here. So the hand it's not really required, and they just plug in perfectly. So no big deal here. So this, I have no problems. But if you have the hand, they tell you to make it a perfect fist and then put it in here. Good luck with that. I'm just gonna be saying that. All right, so I think I'll be right back with the proper demonstrations and we'll end it off there. Okay, so I'm back. So here we have the first demonstration using the protect shade, and on the other hand, just to hide the non-existent hand, is the dividing driver. Now the dividing driver, you can technically use it as a weapon, but it has to be like a very specific way. But in general, as I mentioned before, he would stab it onto the ground to make a specific new dimension, so he doesn't, do damage to the area that he is in. And here is the protect shade. Literally, as the name, mentions, this is supposed to be like a defensive mechanism going on here. So I think this effect part is really cool, and I think the way how you're supposed to use it is very nice. It's just the shitty part that the hands are a huge pain in the ass to use. All right, so there's only one thing left to show. Now, I could technically show the broken Magnum, but problem is I am kind of lacking a certain action-based type, so I'm not really going to show you guys that, but it's basically a rocket punch in general, so I think you should know what that is at this point. Alright, so I think the only one last thing that is left to show is this part, which I think they did a really good job on the hand itself, and they actually engineered the parts on GaoGaiGar so that it doesn't collide or anything with regarding this. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the final demonstration here. So here is the Hell and Heaven pose. Now the Hell and Heaven is basically GaoGaiGar's like one of his ultimate attacks. Basically he would like charge up each of his hands, and then he would gather up the hands like this, and then he would charge tackle. What I mean by charge tackle, in this like specific pose, these boosters or thrusters or vents would open up, and he would literally just ram into the enemy with this, and then he would actually pull out a core. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that's the way how this attack kind of works going on here. Now I've noticed in the manual they tell you to take off the arms or these lower arms and then attach these parts together. But I pretty much can do this without doing that process as well. So you can see here, I would like to mention, so the way how this works is that this is a single piece, or kind of single piece. So you do need to build this entire piece, and this would have 2 ball joints on here. So you can connect each arm, each hand here. Now the ball joint actually is more of a loose joint connected to here compared to the regular hands. And in order for this pose to happen, what they did is that one of the fins are actually connected as ball joints. So they tell you to do this and then fold this inwards like that, so that you don't damage any of the fins or break any of the fins. So I say they did a really good job here. This is one of the few poses that the original DX toy could not do at all. Well, of course, there's a lot of stuff that thing couldn't really do, but still, I'm actually surprised they were able to pull this off. So this is pretty much it for the review. So once again, on part 1 we saw each components and what you can do with them. In part 2 we showed you guys the combination process going on here. It's not exactly easy compared to the original DX toy, but they were pretty much faithful to the original design or series going on here. Of course, there is a slight difference with the Stealth Gao, but still pretty good job, of course. And in part 3, we saw GaoGaiGar in terms of articulation here. Now, compared to GaiGar, the articulation is kind of limited on because due to the overall structure, there's no more rotation on the body, or rotating the arms gets a little bit more trickier because of the Stealth Gao. And the biggest critical issue is the hands, where they give you a pre-built inner frame articulated RG style hands, when despite how GaoGaiGar in the main series of the anime uses a fist about 90% of the time. So I think that was a huge mistake, if you ask me. I don't think I'll be buying any like GaoGaiGar or like Genesis GaoGaiGar unless they give you a full-fledged fist hand that's not an RG style. Unless that happens, I'm not going to buy any of that as well. And considering this, if even Goldie Mag is the same situation here, I don't think I'll be getting him as well, because I don't want to get annoyed while building or fiddling around with the kit. I can fiddle around, but if the parts just keeps falling off or is very unstable, I don't think I'll be willing to get that. Anyway, if you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Once again, the kit is okay, but I'm not going to give this an A+. This is going down to like a B- because of the hand. But if you're a big hardcore like GaoGaiGar fan, I think this is I can recommend this, but just be aware of the hand. If you can find some sort of a solution or a other piece from a Gunpla, then definitely go for that. Anyway, until then, see you guys next time.